Hi folks, I'm Heather Black, and I'd like to take a little bit of time to talk about my newest book release, Design, Make, and Quilt Modern. In this book, I talk about design techniques, tips, and tricks that you can use to take everyday inspiration and make it into a quilt that is uniquely you and uniquely yours. In the first section of my book, Getting Started, I go over different tools and supplies you'll need to create quilts. There are also easy to understand exercises that will help you get to know yourself, and in doing so, become a better quilt designer. This is a great foundation for the rest of the book, and it will help you understand more of your own unique quilting style. In the next section, I go over design basics for modern quilts. Even though this book is written about modern quilts, don't think that these design techniques or tips and tricks cannot also be applied to any sort of quilting that you do, whether it's traditional or improv piecing or applique or collage. I go over some tried and true design techniques, like learning about the rule of three and then how to apply an S-curve to a quilt design. Quilters that use these techniques to make quilts will also find the information in my book useful in making a more sharper, clearer composition. Following my section on basic design techniques is a section on designing with color. I'm a true believer that color should do all the hard work for you in your project. This section covers everything from what primary, secondary, and tertiary colors are to determining different values in a color palette. The goal of the section is for readers to have a good enough understanding about color to make a dynamic and lively color palette for their next quilt. I also think that a quilt design doesn't stop when you decide how it should be made or what it should look like. The next layer of design is the quilting. There's a section in this book that talks about how to choose your quilting for your project and what different quilting designs and motifs can do for your quilt design. This is extremely useful when you're trying to point out a specific area of your quilt that you want to highlight or that you want to minimize. This is all covered in the section, Finish the Design with Quilting. Now that you have found an inspiration, you've designed a quilt, and you've even gone so far as to rough out an idea for quilting, it's still not a quilt, not unless you can execute it. That's why my last section of the book is called From Design to Reality. This section goes over some basic quilt math and also how important it is to not lose your inspiration in your finishing touches, such as the binding and the backing of your quilt. At this point in the book, you may still be hesitant to apply some of these newfound design techniques and tips and tricks. That is why I've included 4 projects in the book. These 4 projects are my grounded quilts, my moving through quilts, around town, and misprint. All 4 of these quilts are great projects for giving you hands-on experience with applying and executing the design tips and tricks talked about in this book. I'm really excited about this book. One of my favorite things that I love teaching on and talking to other quilters about is learning to find their own creative voice. I'm a strong believer that people have their own creative path and that it's just a matter of them finding it and having the courage and curiosity to walk down it. I hope that this book will encourage quilters to find that voice and to apply it either in a custom design of their own or by customizing their favorite tried and true patterns.